I guess I was anticipating a little bit bigger resolution, but I can move this over. My name is Erik Peterson. I'm a developer. I guess that's a broad term. Let me see if I can fix this here so you can see it. We'll go with this. I developed CakePHP, obviously. That's why I'm here. Flash, Flex, Drupal. I know there's a lot of talk about the validity of some of those, but basically use whatever's going to get the job done in the most effective and efficient way. I work for the Iona Group. That's ionagroup.com. That's the rest of that piece there. Blog at electricpineapple.net. And Electric Pineapple is the Twitter handle there. And if you want a vcard, bit.ly/I'm Erik. So we're going to talk a little bit about ACL permissions. This is kind of going to be I would say an extension of maybe some of the workshops rather than really heavy stuff, so hopefully people are here ready for that. It is kind of the basics of ACL and auth, and then moving into some more advanced features or extending the features of that. So let's pull this up. The title of the talk is "It's Easier to Ask for Forgiveness Than ACL Permissions." And yes, I'm stealing this lady's line here. She is from the Navy, actually coined that phrase minus the ACL part, so you can leave that off. But she also is attributed with the origin of the term debugging, because she pulled a moth out of the Mark II computer and kind of debugged it, and that's where that comes from. So she's going to be helping me out with some of the stuff that I may miss or gloss over, or just make fun of me or whatever. So yes, so she's going to help me out along the process. I'm going to do kind of a build along the way. So I'm going to be using a XAMPP install, which I know has some issues connecting with the SQL. There's a MAMP install too. Yes, XAMPP is just a cross-platform LAMP stack. So what I'm going to do is we're going to start from scratch here. I'm going to open up some files here. So I have the HT docs. I'm going to drag in a fresh build of Cake 1.3 here, and we're going to start there. And there is some file copying, but hopefully I won't have to hit the internet, so I'm hoping that this will follow through here. Okay, so just drop that in, and you can see that if I visit this localhost, that's the XAMPP install there. I have set up a different connection here, ACL Fest, so that'll connect to that Cake. And this is a basic setup. You've probably seen this before, so you get to change out some of those values. I'm going to do that really quick. Excuse me while I'm not talking here. And I'm just going to, there are some things I'm probably going to do that, just for sake of getting this all within time, that you may want to do a little bit differently. I'm going to open up the temp directory here with the 777, so we'll do that. You also know that you have to change out some of the config stuff, so I'm going to do that too, just to get us started. And this is not going to be as complicated as it looks off the top of the here, because I have files ready to go. So, so if we look back here, you'll obviously see that we still don't have a database, so we're going to hook that up here. It's just not created, so it's looking for a Cake database, but it's just not there. Just a generic here. Okay, so basics done. We're green to go here. So this should all be fairly familiar stuff here. So yes, basic stuff. She's not going to listen to me. what I'm going to do is just set up some of the basic template stuff here. I'm going to fill in this database with just some information so we have a starter place to go from. Yep. So just kind of a user table, a groups table. These are some of the things you need to have users and groups. Well, you don't need to, but it's more convenient with the users and groups to kind of package things in much nicer. And some of the other things. And stick with me, yes, this may look familiar to some people. I'll get to that. So now we've set up that database. We're going to do the bake step here, just getting some of the basics down. Oops. Okay, so I'm going to burn through these, just bake the models, or bake everything here for each one of those. Like I said, we're going from scratch, so there are some things we've done over and over here, but I just want to start from the beginning so you can see the process, see that I'm not leaving out some of the things that you may be curious about. So we baked those models and controllers and everything that goes along with it. So now I can look in here, I can look at maybe posts, and you can see that all the framework is there that we've just built out. The problem with the XAMPP sometimes comes in when it tries to connect to that MySQL. You do have to you might have to link the SQL to your main rather than to the XAMPP because sometimes it gets confused on where it's looking. I didn't have to do it this time. It just depends on if it's already been up and running. So if you do use this, that's just a little tip there. All right. So you'll see that is getting started there. And there is a comment that I'm going to have. Oops. Yeah, that's that soft link. She's going to help me out with that. And this may look familiar because this is the ACL tutorial. I believe it looked like Mark's story. Put that on there. This is the beginning of that, and I'm going to extend that a little bit here. So hopefully this is a look at the tutorial. Yes, it's on the manual, so you can look there. And hopefully that'll leave less documentation for me to do with with some of this. So from there, we're going to move on, and we're going to add in the auth piece, which is still in that tutorial on there. I'm just going to move in a couple files here. Let's flip back to here. So we're going to add an app controller. We're going to add some other nice things, users and groups controller. Oops. And that didn't want to go to where I wanted it there. Yes. So we're building this out, and I'm going to show you what I've changed there. I'm not just going to blindly drop it in. I do have a login view as well that we're going to drop in. And I'll show you what I've changed so you can see what we're adding in here. And to do that, I'm going to go here. The app controller, basically there wasn't one before, so you can see that we've added a bunch of stuff here. It does include the auth and session components, which we didn't have before. It authorizes based on the controller just for now until we can get some things set up. And it just opens everything up so we can get the setup running. In the groups controller, should be in here. Yeah, we've added the before filter so we can allow everything while we're doing setup, and a similar thing for the there it is. The users controller. We've set up some of the login features, the logout features, and then a opening up so we can see, so we can do some of the initial setup. Okay. So moving on from there, that basically, now if we go into the site and we try to access the post, you'll see that we're under auth now. You do have to log in to do that. I have opened up the the users and groups with that authorized, so you can get in, and we're going to set up those before we start kicking people out, because if there's no users, then you can't log in and can't do anything. So, oops, let's try groups instead. Okay, so let's add some groups in. Again, this is, I'm stealing this. I apologize for ripping it right off, but I am giving credit here. We're going to start here and add some groups, add some users. Yep. All right, so now we have the basics set up. We can log in if we need to. So now if I go to posts, obviously that's still protected under auth, but I can log in and get to those posts. So we're there. First step done, using auth. Yes, basically, big deal, I password protected the site. Nothing new there. Okay, so let's add in the ACL piece. Let's go here, got a few more replacement files. So we're going to clean up some of those authorizations eventually, because right now you can modify any of the users or groups because it's open, it's wide open, and we obviously don't want that because that defeats the purpose. So we're going to replace out this app controller. It's going to change it out. Whoops, let's save that too. And then we have a couple models that are going to set up our ACL here. The groups and users model. And what we're going to do there, we can look at those. Yeah, so if we look at what has changed between those, if we look back at that app controller, we'll slide over one here. We're adding in the ACL component because we need that to do ACL. We're authorizing on actions now to just kind of get prepped, and we did take out that is authorized, so it's not completely wide open here. The groups model, we added the, hold on, I think I'm in the controller. So the groups model, it's acting as a requester, that's our ARO, and it doesn't have a parent node. And then also we have the users model, which acts as a requester as well, and has a parent node of the group. So you can put all your users inside of a group and give them permissions based on what group they're in or on the specific user themselves. So you can kind of get that fine granularity there. This is basically just saying that they are part of a group and doing all the things that it needs to do to find the group and associate that. So we're going to use, we're going to build out the, go back to our terminal here, and build out the ACL table. With the cake here, the console. And I'm going to, let's see, what did we do here? Oh, hold on. Sorry. Need to do one more step before I do that. Need to build out the schema for it. So we're going to create the ARO and ACO and the join table there, so it knows where to find all this information with this command here. So this is going to ask us, do we want to drop what's there and then create the new one? We did do that, and now I can go back and do what I was going to do. So if we look back at the database now, we can see with those two hits there, if I refresh this, get back to we can see that the ACO table, the ARO, and the combination there have been created. What I did with the second one is created this top-level controller, so it's going to hold all of our controllers inside of there. So basically grant global permission, grant or deny. It's just good to do that so you can kind of control the whole app itself. So we're going to move on from there. We do have, we're going to, no, I'm not going to create them all by hand because that would take way too long. You'll notice there is some of the helper pieces, so I'm going to copy those in. Inside of the, oops, sorry. Hold on, I think I might have trashed it here. Yep. Say I'm not using the internet and I still am tempting the gods here. So I'm going to replace a controller. There's a user's controller and I know where I can get it from here. I believe it's this one. So we have the user's controller. What we're going to do in here is there's a couple helper methods, and I can show you that in here. Go to the user's controller, and we can see that what we've added in is a build ACL, which is going to look through our controllers and build out some of the stuff that we need automatically. It's going to sweep through those. And then there is kind of another piece down here, if I can find it, to initialize the database for our AROs coming up. So just a couple helper methods that you probably don't want to include because that will, that's just to help you out to get it all set up here. So we'll run that. So we can see that all these ACOs have been created for the pieces here. Okay, and then for our, let's see, where'd my thing go here? Oh, I'm on the thing. Okay, so if we look at our ACO table now, we can see that everything has been built out for all the actions that we have. However, our ARO table is empty, so we do have to put something in there. Wrong piece, sorry. Oh, that's the other command. Hold on one second. I think I'm ahead of myself here. Oh, there we go. So I want to create some users in the ARO table here. So we've created the users, but I want to put those users that we've already created into the table. So now we can map those out. We see that the admin user is right, or the admin group is right here, and the admin user is inside of that. You see the left and right. Left indicates one side of the group, right indicates the other side of the group, or the higher up structure. So left is 1, right is 4, but then within that we have a 2, 3. So basically you can see the admin user is inside of the admin group. You could also set a top level user here, so everything would be inside of one user group as well, if you wanted to do that, if you needed some global control over some things. So we've inserted that. Now that we've inserted that, we're going to use the other helper method, which is to initialize, and there's no view for that, so you're not going to really see anything. But if I look back here, we can see that it's built it out with specific connections. So it's not, you'll have to probably do this. This is not going to help you specifically because this is just a setup for this demo. You'll have to determine what actions each user or group will have. A 1 in here on the create, read, update, and delete. A 1 is allowing it, and a -1 is disallowing it. And you may need to kind of tier that, so you're allowing a broad group and then disallowing some pieces out of it, or you may want to flip that around and disallow everything and specifically allow actions for specific users. So it's up to you how you want to handle it. To not leave anything out, you may want to disallow everything and add pieces back in so you don't miss something, and you might allow an action that you don't want a user to have. Okay, you may have recognized that we still have those users and groups still open. We can still get to those even if you're not authorized, so I am going to clean that up. We're going to not allow that to happen, so we're going to replace all these. That's going to disallow the very openness of it right now, and you can just add in a user and then become authorized. So we're going to clean that up, and we can take a look at what happened there. If I look at all those controllers, basically you'll just see that we've taken out that before filter to allow the groups. We've taken out the before filter to allow the users. Authorization. Oh, I added in the logout there. I didn't take out the before here. I allowed the logout, so you can really log out when you're not authorized, because it just kind of gets in a loop there and doesn't really work unless you authorize the logout. So I believe that was a note on there, a comment to the feature that's already built in there. So yeah, that's where we're at. Am I going to do something original, or am I just going to steal my entire talk? Yes, I'm going to add in some things now. So this is where we've taken it a little bit further, taking the auth process a little bit further. I wanted to start with the basics so we could see where we're coming from. What I'm going to do now is take this auth, and this is, you have users, and they're authorized to specific actions, but you can't necessarily lock that down to specific items. Or I want to associate the posts and the users. So in this application, when I look at if I go to posts, so right now if I'm logged in, because I'm an admin, I can access recreate the full CRUD, but some of the regular users cannot access each piece of that. However, as an admin, I can edit anyone's stuff, even if I don't want that to happen. As a manager, I can edit anyone's, or get into different pieces. Even if I didn't create it, I can still edit it. And you may want to segment that off so that you have basically kind of communities. Let me show you what I mean here. I'm going to replace a few more files, and then we'll look at that. So we're going to add in kind of this object level thing. And this is just at the post level, and this would apply to any other piece of information you want to lock down. This is just a post example. We actually use this with a whole projects, so people could work under a project, and I'll show you a bit of that later. So I'm going to copy that in. I'm going to copy this controller in. We'll take a look at what changed there. Post model. You can see that this check object has been put into the model to do some of the checking. And what this is going to do is this could be kind of branched out and componentized or cleaned up a little bit, but I wanted to do this fairly simple so I could keep moving with it. I didn't have to explain everything of how to get there. So this looks at each action that is in there. It's looking at a delete, edit, add, and index, which is just what gets baked. And within the delete and edit, it's saying not only do you need to be authorized for that action, but you also need to be authorized for that particular post. And then in the controller, we're passing in the action and passing around kind of some of the stuff that's being done, so we know where we're headed and who we are. So if I take a look at that now, And if I create a new post, so this is manually setting who the user is that's attached to the post. I'm going to set an admin post here. So the admin created that. I'm also going to attach just a regular user to this. And this person could create this themselves, but I'm creating it as an admin user. So it has that ID there. I can obviously edit my own post. But now, if I click edit here, it's saying I can't edit it now because I didn't create it myself. Well, that doesn't necessarily, help us out in the long run because, you want to have kind of a top-level access so admin can edit most of the things underneath them. You don't want to necessarily lock it down to just that specific user because then you have no really management of the site. So yes, if I don't have a hierarchy of users, then basically it's just everyone free-for-all. They can edit their own stuff and there's no management. So taking it a step further, instead of just locking down to that particular user that's assigned to the post, we're going to lock down to kind of a parent. So each user is going to have a parent that they are under, and if they are associated with that parent, then they can do their actions on that post. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it to the next directory here. We're going to swap in. It's kind of a community level. So I'm going to insert something on the users table. It's basically we're going to insert a parent ID. So each user has a specific parent that they're associated with. And you'll notice right away, obviously I did not insert any values into that, so they're all null right now, and I'll clean that up. I'm going to copy in some of these other files. So we do have a post model that we're going to use here. We do have a couple controllers that we need to copy in. And this is just going to further modify what we started with. And you'll see here, if I look at what has changed now, the post controller, let's see. So instead of, well, this is kind of some of the functions. So when you add a new user, it's going to look for the parent ID because only admin can add users. So it's going to look at who you are and give that user your ID because you're the admin that created them. Ultimately, what we did was we had one more level above this where these were kind of account holders that were creating users, and there was a top-level admin that could access everything. So there's that, and then we also had the, I believe it was the user's controller we changed out here. Where'd it go? Apparently there's no changes in that. Okay. So we changed out those so that we'll have a parent ID in there. So now if I go back here and I try to edit my own post again, oh, it can't edit it, and I just broke the whole thing, right? Okay. So now we've seen the differences. I can't edit those because they're null and they didn't have a parent, so it's looking for that parent ID that doesn't exist. With this user, I'm going to create a new admin user, and you'll see how this add works. Because when I do that, and I look back at the users table, then I have admin user 2, and he was automatically assigned his own ID because he's an admin, so he's going to get a parent user status. So now that worked out because we had the add in there. If I log out and then log in with him, so that admin user I just created, the admin user 2. And now, if I create a new user under them, because I'm that admin, create a regular user, you can look back to the users table and see that my new user that I just created has that parent ID of 4, which was the admin that created them. So it's looking for who is the authorized person that created me and running it back up the chain to say, this admin created me, so he's going to be my parent. So it's kind of like if you're under that person, then you get to work within that community of So we still have those nulls hanging out there. So I'm also, one of the other things, just so we have it for later, is I'm going to create a new post here. All right. So I am going to clean up those other null values that we have, because what would happen is if they got created with this system, then they would get that parent ID of 1 because the one user created them. So I'm just going to kind of backfill that in because we didn't have that built at the time. And this is just basically setting all those parent IDs to 1 that we were missing. So if I look now, we can see that the parents are all cleaned up. And now they'll be able to access that because they're looking for the parent ID. So now if I go in here, I'm logged in as admin 2. I can edit my own posts, but I can't edit the other group's posts because he created over here. So anything under 1 that was created, this user 4 can't edit that stuff. So you could see how you can separate out kind of communities, and you can even modify the view based on this. You can look and see, can I modify it, and just extract it from the view as well. So they're not even going to see these posts that other people have created and are in this other community. Okay. So again, we're kind of at a good point here. We're moving along, but we're still, okay, so we're going to take it further. You still have to be under those communities, and you don't really get to manage the permissions within that community still. A user still has the same ACL permissions that they would as a user. An admin still has those same permissions. You're going to kind of grant kind of a base level permission with ACL, but you can degrade them or upgrade them in different communities now because they're separated off. So let's say I wanted admin 4 to be able to just view something over here in the other community created by admin 1, but I don't want them to have full permissions over here. I want to be able to manage across communities what people can see and what they can work with. So we're going to create a has and belongs to many here. Basically create a join table that's going to connect our posts and our users. So we can segment that off on a posts and users basis. So just basically create the table here, and then we'll connect everything up. So this is creating the post users table and giving it some of the pieces of it. You can see that it has a user ID, a group ID, or a group ID and a post ID. So we can see each piece of distinct content, and then we can give it a group that we want to upgrade them to or downgrade them to. All right, let's move the files in that we need for that. We're going to update a couple of models here, again focusing on the user in the post because those are the things we're going to change. But you could make this whatever you're going to use. Like I said, we lock down whole projects and different actions within those projects. So a project looked at a user. Can this user access this project? Can they access the sections under it? Can they access nodes that are associated with this project? It just kind of looked up the table at if they were associated with the project itself. Let me grab the controllers here too. I'm actually creating the join controller too to kind of manage this a little bit better. I'm going to pop over here. There we go. Just going to drop those in. And we can see some of the differences that we just changed here if we flip in here. Let's see, what did I change? The post model. So we can see that we're looking for instead of just passing in the ID, looking for that ID, we're going to look for the parent ID of that user, which we did before. We're going to utilize that a little bit more. A change to the model also we have is we're changing it from a belongs to has and belongs to many. So we have that join table association, so we can look at that to kind of help us out. And then just some helper stuff down there. So what else I'm going to do is I'm going to, because I don't have any, some of that user stuff in there, I'm going to bake the post users model here that I don't, or the post users that I don't have created. So we have views and everything for that now. And what that allows us to do is to look in. Yep, this is where I wanted to be. I can go into the, I need one more thing. I'm going to build out the ACL for that too, because we're still under ACL. The post users, they don't know what to do with that stuff that we just built or baked out. So I'm going to reuse this build ACL. It's going to see that I don't have anything under post users, so it's going to sweep through that again, pick up the stuff that wasn't there before. So post users wasn't created when I ran this the first time. It knows that, so it's coming back and grabbing that. So now if I visit the post users, you see there's nothing in there. We haven't created anything. But if I do create a new one, I can say I want user, let's say user 1, which is our first admin. I want him to have access to this user 4's community, but not at the same level. So I don't want him to have admin level access. So I'm going to downgrade him to a user here. So he can still be an admin on his own level, be kind of a creator of his own users over here, but he won't be able to have that same access on these posts over here. So you can see, if I go to posts, and that's just the ID missing. Then my view is messed up here. So he can still edit his own posts. Oh, can't edit his own post. Maybe logged in as the other person here. Hold on. So I'm going to log in as the admin user, list the posts. And we're not working for something. I must have missed some file there or something. Well, let me show you. I do have the reflection of what we did here. This is something we built out using this idea. This is where it originated from. Obviously, I didn't build out the initial pieces the same way, but that got me up to speed to extend that for you. If I log in, I'm a top level admin on this, so you can see if I manage the courses here, which are courses or projects, are essentially reflected in the post stuff that I did here. So if I go to this link here is our join table, projects users, and you can see that we have the different roles over here. So there's admin, reviewer, approver, content editor, account holder is what I was talking about. That's kind of that middle ground where they can create users, but they can't cross community. The admin is over everything, so they can see all the users, is what we're seeing now. But you can take this, you can take a user, drag them over here, and basically add them to that table. And now they are part of that community, or you've kind of rearranged what they can view and how they can view it. So this adds a nice little drag and drop piece to that interface, so you don't have to know, okay, I want this project, this user, this role. You can kind of see it graphically up here. And you'll notice if I go from here, if I log out, maybe. Okay, there we go. And if I log in as a account holder, which I had mentioned is kind of those break off of community here, then you can see how the views have changed. All right, let's try that again. Okay, so if I hit the same links as I did, you can see there's only two courses there that are viewable, which is basically, it does the same thing. It says, do you have permission to see these things? It takes out the visibility in the view as well. But then within the courses itself, there's only 3 users associated with this person because that's only their users. So they can only see the users they have. There's only 3 roles accessible by an account holder. So you can't, as an account holder, add an admin and then kind of break the whole system. You can only add in reviewers, content editors, and learners. So I can take one of these editors, I can add them over here, and they're added in. So same basic concept, we just have some view layers on top of that reflect what they actually have permissions for, so there's not a bunch of garbage on there. And I can take it, I'm going to show you one more piece here. And you can see that, let's try that. If I log in as an editor, which is kind of like one more level below it, doesn't have as many permissions. You can see in here, even some of the links are not usable. So they can preview and edit some stuff, but they can't access that join table, and they can't modify who can access what. So you can kind of see the hierarchy as it goes up. Admin can change everything. The account users or account holders can change just their community, and then editors are under that, and they can't really do a lot of the management of the community, but they can edit some other stuff. So that's kind of the progression that I took, kind of building out the ACL to account for some other cases where you might not just want to lock it down to just actions, but you want to lock it down to specific pieces of content with specific users or specific groups that can access that. So again, this is my contact information. I'll get it centered a little bit better. But I do want to show you, I work for the Iona group, and we do not only development, but we do some other video development and a lot of other cool things. So I wanted to show you this. If you have any questions, let me know afterwards. This will kind of be my sign off here. So thank you for listening, and I'll let this play.